All right, so this episode was pretty chill, pretty chill. When Stefano was asking like Marvin to do another job for him, it just reminded me like of a Grand Theft Auto side mission with either CJ or Tommy Vercetti's, where he's just like, "Oh, I need you to do this." All of that just reminded me of like a Grand Theft Auto side mission. Like that's what Stefano is to me. But it does get quite interesting like later on because with Rock's lawyer telling her about the whole as a get out of jail free card and you're going to get compensated because technically the FBI is still looking at Stefano, even though the task force is no longer, I guess investigating like Marvin or anything that Rock is doing because that kind of like got broken up because in the beginning, there was like the whole police statement like about like Howard and that he was involved with Ronnie Mathis and then you had like Captain Lewis who was telling Garcia he was just like we got to keep this between us, like we have to figure out like what really happened to like Howard, and it doesn't really add up like how his death was, and then he's trying to like put together and basically say like, well, the person that shot him before was probably the same person that actually killed them. So it's like, okay, so we got a little bit of a misdirect here because Garcia pulls up in the beginning parts of the show and he pulls up on Kanan and he's just like, oh, you need to tell me like what's going on with Famous because I guess Famous is missing now. So it's like, all right, he's looking for Famous and he's like, I don't know what to tell you. And then he's like, oh, so what about Howard? Right? And he's just like, I just don't know what to tell you. He something happened to him. So I'm like, okay, like we got that. And then we got to see the more of a development between like Kanan and Crystal. You see, I would have preferred my idea better on like basically Rock just saying, all right, baby, you got to go and abort this mission. But she basically did it because Kanan asked her to, but Crystal wanted to have like a relationship or be a mother, for the baby, but Kanan was just like, nah, man, I ain't trying to hear all that. But I wonder what's gonna like happen like with between us two. I have a funny, sneaky suspicion. I could be so wrong on this. I could be so wrong, but I have a funny, sneaky suspicion that I think Crystal probably might sleep with B Rilla, and I think somebody gonna end up dead. I don't know. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. My math might not be mathing, but I don't know because they are together for now. But again, this is all still a learning curve for Kanan because he's like, yeah, little girlfriend, but in the future, Kanan don't give a fuck about any of that. He's gonna be about himself and whatever. So this is just baby steps for Kanan, right? And then we got to see Jukebox in the military, and obviously she wasn't gonna stay there for long. It was just because she was there for a little bit. Seems like she was excelling really well in the military, but then one of the guys gets kicked out of the military because they found some magazines, and that's when she was kind of like caught off like, oh, like this is what happened, and then that's when the guy tell you like, yeah, I don't want nobody doing any of that to me, and she was just like basically like being in the military is not really for her. And to be honest with you, the military on its own, basically the military do be moving that way anyway, because when you really think about it in real life, they they be knocking people out, they be spoofing people's hoodies, not even hoodies, I can't even say that, that's a prison reference. They be basically be snatching that bag and over there in the military. So I'm like, for them to say it here, I'm like, not everybody, but you be hearing some stories about that. But she basically leaves, and then she goes to Atlanta to see her girl, and then that's when they kind of like talk about like trying to find themselves and what they're gonna become. And we all know Jukebox is gonna have a legendary crash out moment, and it's gonna be crazy when it happens. But that happens, and then Lulu gets out of prison, oh sorry, rehab. He gets out of rehab and Marvin meets him, and then that's when they they talk, they discuss, and that's when uh Marvin is trying to like you know be there for Lulu and tell him like it's gonna be good, everything's right. And then that's when you know Lulu meets he meets the record producer. And then that's when they talk about this guy named B Rilla, and that's when he's like, okay, Because first he asked him, he's like, "Where's Famous?" That's the big question. He's like, "Where's Famous?" Famous to come up somewhere. Then that's when he talks about like B Rilla, and that's when he's just like, "Well, he's sort of like in jail right now." So that's when Lulu goes to see B Rilla, and he talks to him about like music and about what they should really do in the future. And so he gets him out of a jam, and that's when he has him like performing like some songs, and everybody was basically there, and it was just like having a good time and whatever. But it was so cool the fact that Unique was sort of like spiraling like a little bit, because he tried to see if he could see Panessa and the kids again, but then they have like an eviction notice on their door, so he couldn't see them. So it was like, okay, and then he sees her. I guess it looks like she probably is either at her mother's house. Probably it could be that she's probably like at her mother's house. So he's just there observing everything, but then he's like hitting his head, I guess, out of frustration and maybe rage, because he's basically just observing like a lot of things right now. And then at the ending, he was watching Rock and her lawyer, discuss about like what was going on, and the stuff about like Marvin and Stefano, because she didn't know that Stefano and Marvin actually secretly be talking, but the feds are still watching, and they're like, hold up here, like Marvin could still be, he's still in the light. I keep telling you, all eyes is on Marvin this season. All eyes is still on Marvin, so they keeping tabs on that. And that's when you see you see Unique pulling up on him. He's like, "You fuck her?" I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, he just come out of nowhere. "Oh, you fuck her?" And then he pops him in back of the head. "Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Those who fuck her, they have to die."
So you fucking her?
Then that's what happens. I'm like, "What the fuck?" And then he kills him. I'm like, "Damn it." Her lawyer was actually really useful here, because again, he knew a lot. Like, he had connections. He just knew certain things, and he was basically useful to Rocket. She was even asking him. She said, "Well, listen, you gotta tell me about your connect. You gotta tell me about how you getting all this information before anybody else do." But he's like, "I can't really do that. I can't really reveal all my cards." So I was like, "Damn." First he died, now Proctor. Damn, Davis McLean was the only one that survives. He's the only one out of the lawyers that actually survived. But I digress. But um, you know, he does that. So now we're gonna probably see in the next episode where Rock is gonna have to find a new lawyer that she can trust and keep her operations going for a while, because Unique is out here just sabotaging her business. Because Quan already asked her for like 30%. He was just like, "Well, I am going to increase your tab by 30." So now she has to like double the weight. And then we got to see also later on like Snaps and Pop, talking to Kanan about like, "Well, you know, we gave you a little bit more money than what you're giving us back, which is not a lot." And it was like, he's like, "Yo, this is some bullshit," because he's like, "Well, Ronnie's dead and I kind of have my own thing. Like, what's the problem?" But then they like, "Well, this is business here. Like, you can't really, screw over your business partners like that." Again, this is all learning experiences for Kanan, because he doesn't know any of this, and he's being taught. And then Rock basically had to agree, because this is the streets. This is the code here. She had to agree, like, yeah, technically what you and Ronnie had nothing to do with her. And it's fair. It's completely fair. And that's something that everybody had to respect in that room. But that's when Kanan had to leave. They had to leave, and that's when she was like, "Well, even though you can't really trust me, or you upset at me, I can understand that, but I have to trust my business partner." So you got that's still happening right now. And then you have, Kanan and his grandmother Joyce. She's dying of cancer, and he's there with her, and he's, telling her like, "Well, you have to tell everybody else that you have this, because this is a big secret that he's not sure if he can actually keep, because it's a massive secret, because he's dying of cancer." So I think it's only fair that she has to tell everybody at some point that, yeah, I'm not going to be around for too long. I'm basically going up to the upper room, like Chisels be saying. But um you have that's happening right now. But overall, like, this episode was pretty chill. It was pretty chill. Oh, and also too, Stefano and Rock, when they was discussing about, I guess, plans to move up. Now that plan is gonna probably be thwarted, because now that the FBI is still looking at Stefano, and she wants to like basically move up and just say fuck Quan and do something completely different. I mean, because Stefano, he wasn't bad when you think about it. Well, eh, there was a part that he was when there was the whole Italian war against them, but for the most part, he wasn't too bad. But then again, it's just like you don't fully know what he could be like up to. But I mean, she still has like the card to play on, Rat now Stefano. But we all know Rock. She's no Rat. Most likely, Stefano's gonna probably have to get popped at some point, because. And then also Marvin fucked up because he killed the guy, even though Stefano told him just to like rough him up a bit. But because the guy was basically intimidating and saying some crazy shit to Marvin about like, well, you basically his dog, his bitch, and all this other shit, and he was just like, oh, I can't take this, and he just kills him. So I was like, oh, so it's another thing that's also gonna probably like see some dissension between like maybe Stefano and Marvin, because I mean Stefano likes Marvin and they have like a little side deal going, but Marvin doesn't know that the FBI is still looking at him and Stefano. So I keep telling you, all eyes is still on Marvin this season. I don't care what nobody says. It's still eyes on this man. Like I said, Lulu is still he's not in recovery, but he's trying to like figure his way. But all eyes is still on Marvin at this point. And Kanan is in the learning process of what it means to have like true business partners and to like truly work with people, rather than just saying, well, if one deal fucks up, he has to like do something completely different or just say fuck the business partners. It's like, nah, you can't do that. Like if somebody had a cut, you got to reimburse them. But I think at some point in time, Snaps and Pop is gonna they're gonna probably get killed at one point. I think they're gonna get probably killed at some point in time, because a lot is going on with Kanan, and Kanan getting roughed up by Garcia, and it's just like, okay, how long is that gonna go on for? And then there's still the whole where's Famous? Famous is missing. He's missing in action because after last season about the whole, well, technically, Freddy's death, and he had the gun that killed Freddy, and it's like, what's going on? Where's Famous? So that the curious case of Famous is gonna get interesting as well, because I mean, when Marvin and Lulu was discussing in the car about that, like, oh, well, Famous could be a rat, and Lulu was like, I don't want to go down this route again. I don't want to go down this route again, because that's the same thing that happened with Scrap, and I think he doesn't want to go near that. He just want to focus on the music, though. That's what he wants. I think he wants to focus on the music, but I don't think he wants to like focus on things that's gonna like stir up like old wounds and old emotions. So, but again, we're gonna see, because again, Famous is still missing. He's still going at this point, but damn, freaking Unique out here, freaking killing lawyers, man. That shit was fun. He just came up to you, fuck her, right? Yeah, I know you are. You gotta die. I'm like, that's wrong, Unique. That's wrong. That's not how this goes. But yeah, but like I said, this episode was chill. This episode was pretty chill. We got to see a couple of things, and um this is gonna be very interesting when the next episode appears, because we're gonna get to see what's gonna probably happen more on like Unique's, I guess, development, and how he's gonna transition more into being more psychotic, because I feel like because of the rage and what's been going on with him, we're gonna get to see more of that, and it's gonna be a fucking storm when that shit happens. But overall, like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll catch you all in the next one.